Hi, I'm Rachel Lancaster, and this is the Magnificent Midlife Podcast. This is where we celebrate women in midlife and beyond. We challenge the status quo and bash those negative stereotypes about being an older woman. We're not over the hill at 40, 50, 60. We're just getting started, and the world needs us now more than ever. I'll be talking all things midlife and sharing some fabulous stories of amazing women doing very cool stuff. Now's our time. I'm absolutely delighted today to introduce you to Elizabeth Temperley-Shell. Now, Elizabeth is an acupuncturist, but she wasn't always an acupuncturist, and actually she's had her quite amazing midlife reinvention. And I should tell you that in another life, the two of us used to work together, but we haven't seen each other in ages, have we? Hello.
Hello, yonks. 20 years nearly.
Is it?
Yes.
It must be nearly that, mustn't it? But we followed each other kind of on social media and kept up with what we were doing. And it's lovely, lovely to have you here today. And I want to know all about your journey to doing traditional Chinese medicine and specifically acupuncture. So why did you do this? What is your passion? What drove you to make this change?
Well, it all started, I was working in the design industry when I was much younger. Very stressful, worked in reporting accounts, and that's how you and I came across each other. And as you know as well, it was very, very stressful, late nights, all sorts of demanding things. Anyway, I'm sure that the reason I actually ended up going into perimenopause at the age of 36.
Even earlier than me.
Yeah, and I think the reason why, or is the reason why, is because it was under great stress, pressure, working long hours, and that is no good for your body. Anyway, I was told that I wasn't, because of going into perimenopause early, I couldn't have any children, and I thought, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to see what I can do. So I did lots of research. I went to acupuncturist. I did nutritional did all the kind of things that you're meant to do, taking all the different types of nutrition, going on special diets, etc., and did everything naturally, and ended up having a daughter.
Yay!
Yeah, hooray! Which was lovely. At the same time, it was then suddenly I worked really hard to have this child. And then I thought, I don't want to go back to work and then just never see her again because of work. I was working the long hours. So I decided that I needed to reinvent myself. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I suddenly thought, well, what am I interested in? Because, we were interested in so many different things, but there was nothing that really jumped out at me. And it just happened to be one day, I was thinking, what can I do? My daughter's now 4 years old, and I'm not the type of person who would just sit around and be happy at home, just ironing and cleaning. I wanted to do something more with my life and stimulate my brain. And I just suddenly had that kind of, I'm quite interested in acupuncture. Why don't I see what I can do there? And that was it. It was literally just one of those moments. It just popped into my head. And then I did a bit of research, chose the college that I wanted to go to, and then started to do my 3.5-year degree in traditional Chinese medicine and 5-element acupuncture.
Wow. I think that's just amazing. And it was such a big thing to do, wasn't it? I mean, you got to learn something that's completely new to you.
Yeah.
You've got to go back and be quite a mature student at that stage, weren't you?
Yeah, exactly. What was really interesting was that actually, I was sort of in the middle category of all the people that were there. There were only quite a few sort of 20-year-olds. The majority of the people that were there were women, and they were all retraining.
Really?
Which was interesting. There was even, there's a woman who was 60 on our course and another who was 67.
Wow. Embarking on a 3.5-year course.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really interesting. Yeah. And what was also really quite nice about it was they only take on the younger group, they only take them on if they seem to be quite mature. So to do acupuncture, I think they were thinking that if you wanted to do acupuncture, you have to have a certain sense of life skills, experience, because if you're dealing with other people every day who come into your clinic with problems, you've got to have some sort of perspective and experience in order you can be sympathetic, empathetic, and help them. And so that was it. It was a really nice environment to be in, because we were, the majority of us were all kind of, sort of 40s to 50s.
Yeah. Wow. So how long is it since you qualified?
I actually graduated this time last year.
Oh God, that's quite recent then.
Really recent, yeah. But but we were treating patients in the college clinic so I've been treating patients for over a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very recent, but it's like I'm loving it. It's really good.
And what is it that you love about it?
Well, the thing is, there are two sides to it. One is because it's lovely because you actually can help people and you can see them get better. But the other side of it is actually I'm just, for my personal sense, I'm actually using my brain. And I'm not doing a sort of job that's a little bit sort of uninspiring and not sophisticated in any way. It's like it's a very complex subject, Chinese medicine, and it's one of those things that you can never stop learning. So my path is sort of a never-ending path of development as a practitioner. Yeah, and that's what I like about it, is I'm just continually going to be extending myself, and I can see myself working, fitness and well-being taken into, hoping that will be continue. But I can see myself doing that until I'm sort of 70s, I hope.
Yeah.
So it's like a life path for me now, which I really love it.
It's really interesting actually, because I've profiled Catherine Allen, who is a Tai Chi master, and she's in her 70s, and she is like the very top level Tai Chi master, and she's quite incredible, and she can lift her leg up here standing up. It's amazing. But she therefore understands that this is a life path, and that in the area of anything to do with chi, which is obviously where you are as well, the life force chi, that it is something that you continue to learn about throughout your life. It very much, you can continue to become a master in your field as you go on. It's not one of those like traditional Western ideas of, you have your peak at 50 or whatever and then you're going down. It's not like that. It's like this, isn't it? All the way through, which I find fascinating.
Yeah. So that's what's quite rewarding about it, and that's what I really like. It means that I will continue to develop onwards until, I whiz off this mortal coil.
How were family when you decided, you told them you were going to do this? Did they support what you wanted to do?
Yeah, interesting. My family were very supportive of me, and I mean, my husband had a kind of he was encouraging about it, but at the same time, it was like, well, how are we going to juggle everything, because it was a full-time course. But he was very, really happy that I did it, etc. And then I spoke to my friends about it, and my friends, a lot of them were sort of a bit like, really, you're going to go back and start doing exams again? It was like, why would you want ever to do that again? Which I do have to say, actually, I did think, because when I did my first degree and stuff, I was like, right, that is it. I am never doing exams again. That was it, But then it's surprising how, however many years on, it didn't seem to bother me, because I was really interested in the subject matter. Yeah. And then there was another group of friends, sort of school mums and stuff, who didn't quite get what I was doing. And sort of after about 6 months, they would say, oh, so have you finished your course now? And I just
got a bit time to go yet.
Exactly. And they didn't quite get it. And I think a lot of them who were, no disrespect to them, but they were professional yummy mummy types. It was just like, why? They didn't really get it.
Yeah.
And even now qualified, and have my own little clinic, etc., they still sort of can't quite grasp that. But they're actually also, interesting enough, they're all much younger.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite a mum.
Yeah.
So they're much younger. They're all in like their 30s. So they haven't reached that kind of point of maturity, because I think as you get older, a little bit longer in the tooth, you kind of suddenly become a little bit more kind of, there's more to me than this, you know, I think anyway. Well, that's what happened to me. As I got older, I've kind of done that kind of, there's more to me than just, you know, my husband, my child, and everything else. There's, you know, yeah, so that was interesting. So I've reached the point now that I'm actually, I know who I am, and it's all about, more about me and what I've got to offer. Whereas I think they haven't quite reached that maturity yet of understanding more about themselves.
I think that's a massive, I mean, it's certainly a massive part of the whole Magnificent Midlife Members Club. It is for precisely women like you and me who think,
Yeah.
you know, there must be more to me than what was, or what I was doing, or
more to me than my house, my family. I'm, you know, I'm a being that's well-rounded, experienced, and a lot to offer.
so it's really important part of the members club for women to feel they can contribute lots more and do things in midlife. So if you had one piece of advice that you could give to a woman in midlife who's really feeling stuck, doesn't know what to do, what would it be?
Ooh, well, I always love this phrase. I heard it years ago, which is, life is too short for plain biscuits.
Plain biscuits. Oh, I love that. I've never heard that before.
No, and it's great, because that's what I say to my patients as well. I say life is too short for plain biscuits, which means basically don't settle for the boring. Go out. If you want to go and do you know, a 10k run, you know, do it. If you want to go and do flower arranging, do it. If you want to, you know, whatever it is you want to do, you've got to just go and do it, because, you know, we only have one life. So you've just got to get on and do it. And that is what I always say to all my patients, and I think it's really true. And I always think about it myself. Life's too short for plain biscuits. You can't just hang around just living the mundane.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not very philosophical, unfortunately.
Oh, no, it's very philosophical. I think it's absolutely spot on. And I think it is so easy, actually, and sometimes I get a little bit frustrated. It's so easy to just accept the status quo, though, isn't it? It's scary to go and do something different. And you, I mean, did you find it scary? You must have done, surely. You're doing something so different.
I found it daunting. I didn't find it scary, because I'm the type of person that once I've made a decision to do something, I'm quite focused on it. And logistically, just trying to work it out in my head how I was going to do it. I had enormous fear about doing the exams and things like that. But the good thing about that was I also had you know, experience of doing my O-levels and my A-levels and my degree. So I knew what it was like to be under pressure. Also, having worked in a, you know,
very high pressure environment,
high pressure job, I knew that I knew how to deliver things. So I was kind of reaching back with my life experiences that I've already had to then focus on doing the degree again. Actually, interestingly enough, it was easier than the first one, even though my first degree was in design. So, which is, you think, well, that's quite easy to do, because you're just doing lots of drawings and learning how to design and typography, etc. And with Chinese medicine, it's all about, initially you've got to do, the first year is all about anatomy, and it's very medical, Western medical based. But then on top of that, you're learning all about, you know, Chinese medicine, the way the Chinese perceive energy through the body, and all the weird terms that they have. And then there's lots of, you know, you've got to learn the 379 acupuncture points, or whatever it is there are so many, and where they are. So it is really intense learning, but it didn't faze me that much because of my past experience. So I probably did it at the right time in my life. I think if I'd done it when I was 21, I think it would have been a real slog.
It's really interesting, yeah, because you were very good at deadlines, very, you know, tight deadlines and project management and getting all the bits to come together at the right time. And that was a transferable skill, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually. Yes, it was. It's all about project managing it and getting it there on time. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was it, you see. So I think it was definitely due to my maturity that made it not so daunting.
Mm. But I do know that some people, it's very difficult to take that first step. It's like, you know, it's for some, you know, obviously not you, and it's easier to just say, well, it's not great what I've got, but it's not quite as scary as if I were to do something else. But taking that first step is amazing. I think it's fantastic what you've done. It's really absolutely incredible, actually. Good for you.
You dares, Rodney? You know, I think women are great. I'm quite a feminist, and I think that we can do pretty much anything we want to do. The only thing that stops us is listening to the people around us that stops us.
Yeah.
Other people's opinions of how we should be behaving and what we should be doing. You know, for example, I think a lot of people think the 50-year-old women should be, you know, probably being a little bit more sensible, a little bit more staid, stuff like that. Well, that's what they think, and they can keep on thinking that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Mm-hmm. You are my perfect guest. You've been reading my mind. Oh, so what was it like? I mean, you've told us a bit about that it wasn't too difficult going back to full-time study, and that your fellow students actually weren't that different to you. So once you got the logistics sorted, presumably it was all right, was it?
It was all right. It was okay. I mean, it was really hard work though. I mean, I don't want to underestimate. It was absolutely hard work, and I had lots of sleepless nights, you know, and you know, exam time was awful. My family were great. My husband would take my daughter to the park for really long park trips, you know, and often he would actually also vacate the house and go and stay with his parents, so that I would have the weekend just to purely study. I mean, it was a massive sacrifice, and a lot of hard work went into it. And there were moments when I had a few kind of tearful, what am I doing? You know, but I kind of stuck with it. You know, you've got to push on through. And now I'm completely rewarded with a very nice education.
So what kind of midlife things can acupuncture help women with?
Everything, absolutely everything. Chinese medicine is all about just keeping the body in balance. When the body's out of balance, ill health starts to happen. Mm-hmm. And when we reach our midlife, things, you know, our bodies will start slightly go out of sync. Mm-hmm. And life affects us. Anything to do with, you know, we can live in a cold house and that can affect us, that can sort of permeate us, or a damp house. Emotions can affect us, and they will also send our bodies out of balance. So by the time we reach midlife, we've had a lot of all those external factors happening to us, and so often that's when we do experience, you know, things like very bad menopause symptoms, hot sweats, all that sort of stuff. With acupuncture rebalances everything. So it balances everything from hot flushes to you know, the mental problems that women can get, foggy heads, or just the general anxiety or depression. It also helps with things like leaky bladders, swollen ankles, eczema, asthma, anything that the body is out of balance. So, you know, it's extremely good for menopause, and I would recommend that every woman who is about to start going through their menopause, perimenopausal, is to go to an acupuncturist and get themselves rebalanced, because your journey through to the other side will be smoother and you'll feel more sane about it, because acupuncture, all it does is just rebalances his body.
Wow.
And it's a good thing to do also through the rest of your life. And I'm a great believer is like when women of our age group, they need to be looking after their health properly if you want to enjoy the next 20 years of your life without getting diabetes, without getting achy joints, and you still want to have that vitality and a quick mind and all that sort of, all those things. Because now we naturally think, our society thinks that once you're 50, you're going on a downhill slope. But if you look after yourself through things like acupuncture, which completely rebalances you and stuff, this is a time that you really must invest in good eating, good sleeping, good exercise, and just good socializing. And those are all the things that then will give us a nice balance as we go into our old age. And it's really important, particularly our age group now, because we've kind of, in Chinese medicine, we're sort of running out of our batteries are starting to become a bit low because we've lived for 50 years. But the only way to keep the battery going, it's like an old car. You give an old car a good MOT, you change the oil regularly, you make sure the tyres are okay, all those sort of things. Your car will last a good long time longer, and then it'll be a vintage and everyone will want it. So there you go. That's what I think.
I agree, and it's certainly the Chinese are much better, I think, at looking after themselves as they get older. They put more effort into it, or certainly they have traditionally, haven't they? When you traditionally go to the parks and they're all exercising in the park, or they're walking around with those wonderful heavy balls. I actually have some of those in the house, and they're exercising their fingers round these balls and things like that as they're walking about. So I think they're, and also they don't have it anymore, but of course they all used to squat all the time to go to the loo. Which is very, very good for us, isn't it, squatting?
Yeah. They have this thing, is called Yangsheng, which is, you know what that means, don't you?
No, what's that?
That Yangsheng, which is sort of, it's like live life well.
Ah.
But you would say it in a different way, probably, my rubbish Chinese accent, or pronunciation rather. So it means live life well, and that means that you've got to do everything in moderation. Eat well but not too much. Make sure you sleep well. Make sure you're socializing well, and you exercise well but not too much. But of course you've got to have all of those four things. So they're like the four legs of a chair. But if you're not going to do one of those things in a balanced way, that means one of the legs of the chair will be broken. You cannot sit on a three-legged chair well. You can't sit on it well. So that's one of the things that I think as we get older we should take into consideration, particularly women as well, because we have a much more complicated system than men.
I think it's really interesting that the socializing is in there as one of the four as well.
Yeah.
It's not something you would automatically think of, is it? Certainly from a Western perspective.
No. Yeah, but we all need that. We need to communicate with each other and stuff like that. I mean, like, particularly even like this, this is positive. We're talking positively about things, and we're sharing information. And that's also really important. It's important in acupuncture. It's important, just to be able to communicate with people and discuss stuff. Yeah.
What do you like about being a woman in midlife?
Well, I think I might have said it before, actually, earlier, is just the fact that I know my own mind. I feel quite confident, and I'm just quite happy with the space I'm in at the moment. So I just feel very comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling, isn't it?
It is, exactly. I don't need to prove anything to anybody, because I've proved it to myself, kind of thing, if you know what I mean. I've kind of done what I've wanted to do. So it's like, I've ticked my box. I don't need anyone else to tick my box. Yeah. And
is there anything you don't like?
Yeah. There kind of a few extra rolls of fat on it. No, I'm not happy with that, yeah. But I don't mind, I kind of don't mind the fact that I've got wrinkles and my hair's going grey and all that sort of stuff. I don't mind about that at all.
No, I don't either. I actually like my wrinkles, and I did pull out the occasional white hair, and now I leave them because it's proof that I don't dye my hair. It's like there's a few here. No, I like them. It's the map of our life, isn't it? Really, our face and our wrinkles.
It just shows I think it just shows that you're living life, and if you've got wrinkles around your eyes and stuff like that, it shows that you kind of laugh.
Yeah.
and you smell, and actually things are good, I don't know where these ones come from. I think there's a hereditary, but never mind. I do that, it's okay, and I don't care.
And what would you tell your 30-year-old self?
That definitely, I wished I had have trained earlier to do what I do now, actually. And I think I would have told myself, because even when I was 30, I wanted to do something else, and I wanted to get out of the industry I was working in. Because I knew it wasn't good for me, but I didn't know what to do. And if I was my 30 self, I would wanted someone to whisper in my ear, go and train as an acupuncturist.
Would you have listened though?
I don't know actually. I'm not sure, but I've liked to have had the top tip, and then done what I've done earlier, because I really, it was a good thing. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
And is there, so what brings you joy?
Well, I'm very simple, really. I'm very happy with my family, my husband, my daughter, our dog. That's really it, really. I quite like hanging around with them. That gives me happiness. Walking my dog in the morning, that's what I really like. That's when I go out, and that's my, I wouldn't call it a meditation, but it's my lovely start to the day. Like, it's my way of just being at one with everything. Because I'm a 5-element acupuncturist as well, which is based in the Taoist principles of the seasons and stuff. And so walking out with my dog in every season is quite important to me, and also to what I'm practicing when I'm treating my patients. So I kind of find that as sort of like a bit like a meditation. Kind of I walk around and think and look at the seasons and observe things. Or mindfulness, you could call it. I don't know, but it's sort of something that I really enjoy doing, and that's when I'm happy.
Can you give us the 2-minute guide to the 5-element acupuncture? What is that?
It's all about the seasons. So as the seasons change, so you've got your winter and your summer and your late summer, and then autumn, and then you go into the winter and you go spring, and so you've got 5 elements. So you have earth, and metal, and water, and wood, and fire, and they all represent the different seasons, and how that we should live within the seasons. And the seasons are represented internally with us, and also externally. And it's all about how we respond to the seasons. How in the wintertime we should be wrapping up warm, we should be being still, we should be taking, just like the animals, some animals hibernate, we should be in a very similar way. And so then when spring comes, we have the energy ready to tackle the new year and go out, start making plans. And then through the summer we enjoy stuff, we're out, we're eating, all the kind of summer fruits, etc., and the salads and the light things. And then we kind of go back, and autumn happens, and then we start slowly coming inwards again. And it's like, so those are the things that also happen within us internally. And it's how we respond internally to the seasons. And 5 elements is really about balancing ourselves internally with what is happening externally around us seasonally. And it's sort of really very, it's a deep form of acupuncture. It helps with the spirit and also with our core being. And if you can balance that out, then everything else comes into balance. Wow.
It's fascinating, because so it's perfectly all right to want to hibernate between November and January.
That's, if you're in according to Chinese medicine, that's what you really should be doing. You should be being calm, being still, going inwards.
I've got permission just to hibernate. Yeah. And I know that a lot of people suffer from SAD, don't they? Seasonal something disorder. and the light and everything when it goes, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere when we have such short days, don't we?
Yeah.
But I always feel guilty about, feeling that. So you've just given me permission. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you should. That's it. And so then it means that, when it comes to springtime, you're ready to go.
Mm.
You've got your energy, and also particularly because you see this, so you start getting all the lovely sunshine, early spring and stuff, and it makes you feel even better because you're like, bing, you're out there.
Mm. Wow, I like that. Can you do acupuncture on yourself?
Yeah.
You can.
Mm.
Apart from acupuncture, what is in your self-care toolkit?
Oh, okay. So what else I do is I do the Qigong, which is a bit like Tai Chi, but not as active. And it's much more about moving energy around your body and breathing and stillness, rather than Tai Chi can be quite active in a slow way, can't it?
Yes.
And then I think also just the only other thing is my walking my dog. That's what I like. Yeah. And the occasional, I kind of sort of do semi-forest bathing, if you know what that is.
No.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really good, actually. If you go forest bathing, they do it in Japan. It's very popular.
Yeah.
And it's been researched. It's extremely good for you. So you walk into a wood or a forest and just walk through it. You can actually just sit in a wood or a forest. You just sit. Just calmly sit and breathe and just take in the air and the surroundings and listen to the sounds. It's almost like encapsulating yourself in sort of a mindful setting. But they did do experiments, and they discovered that actually people that do go into the forest and breathe, because all the plants are giving off, oxygen, and there are lots of essential oils in the air that are good, but it's actually very good for your body and your mind. And so when I walk my dog, sometimes I will suddenly stop and I'll just stand there for about 5 minutes and just close my eyes and listen and breathe deeply. And that's what I do sometimes. And of course my dog sits there going, what the heck? I thought we were walking. I would recommend everybody to do that because it's really good for you. And if you do it every week, just go walk in a wood or somewhere and find a stump to sit on and sit there for like 20 minutes and breathe in all the smells that you can smell. Apparently it's very good for your serotonins and all those sort of things, and calms you down.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Magnificent Midlife podcast. It would really help me get the message out and inspire more women to feel empowered in midlife and beyond if you left me a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever you may be listening to this. And share this podcast with your friends too. If you'd like to take your own midlife up a notch, why not join our members club? It's where you'll find the strategies, support and connection you need to live the very best next phase of life. You can find out more and get the show notes for this episode at magnificentmidlife.com. Help me change the world one midlife woman at a time.